Yeah, excited to be here, excited to get moved on to pursue getting better. We open with Tennessee Tech practice today, and we'll start attacking these guys. They played a really hard-fought game with Middle Tennessee the other night, had a great comeback, and got a lot of respect for the way they played in that game for sure. And our guys will start getting prepared on them today.
Yeah, Coach. When we spoke to you last week, you kind of talked about Clemson, and Carson talked about Clemson being a man-to-man football team that likes to send a lot of pressures as a defense. When that's the identity of a football team, they come out playing a lot of zone covers to start the football game. I'm curious how you guys adjusted as a staff, and did that kind of catch you by surprise?
Not necessarily. They've been a pressure team, but they're not necessarily man-to-man pressure. They play a lot of forms of pressure, very similar to what we do in terms of zone, sims, and two traps mixed in with some man-to-man. And they probably played a lot of more single-high man and zone than they have in the past to load up on the run. But I wouldn't say anything our offense gets surprises us because we have a huge volume of defense. So they typically get exposed to a lot of defensive structures. But that's neither here nor there. You can do a lot and be no good at it, or you can do a lot and try to be good at it. It's a lot more about the players.
Kirby, you were talking about the green dot helmet philosophy on defense. It's not necessarily the single color. Can you share who wore the green dot and expound on that? And will it be the same every week, or is that something that could change from week to week?
I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, we share who uses it every day in practice. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know. I mean, CJ had it some, Smile had it some, Raylan might have had it some. We have two helmets, so it depends on which pairing of players are in. We have other players that have green dot helmets in case they have to play a position that they're not normally playing. And we had a couple situations like that Saturday that we thought might happen with injury, so we had other guys ready and prepared to use the green dot. But as far as I know, we just had the linebackers using it.
Coach, it looked like Arian Smith was, very involved in the offense, first two touches of the game, and not necessarily, beat him deep situation. Can you just talk about his development purely as a receiver and how much you guys are depending on him offensively this year?
Yeah, we want to depend on everybody because you don't want to be a one-dimensional team. So the idea is ever since we've been here, it's spread the ball around. We've had a lot of guys with a lot of touches, nobody with a ton individually, and Arian's been a great case study in that because he's touched the ball vertically, he's touched the ball sideways, he's become a more complete receiver and route runner. I thought he made some plays out on the besides the rocket sweep things and the edge runs, he made some plays catching the ball outside, and that's big for him. That's growth for him, and we need more guys to step up and be able to do that. And we got to be innovative in ways to get touches that make us hard to defend.
Yeah, Kirby, any updates on Mykel, Warren Brinson, Joenel, Aguero going in this week?
Joenel was close to being able to play, worked out before the game. Thought he might be able to go in an emergency. I don't really know today anymore. We just had a walkthrough. He walked through, and hoping he'll be able to go this week. Warren got a little bit of an ankle / contusion. Wasn't able to go. We're hopeful he's able to go. Mykel has an ankle sprain. It's a grade 2, but it's stable. He'll be week to week. Probably questionable this week, but not going to be a long-term ankle, and we'll see.
This is sort of an off-topic question, but I'm curious. Obviously, so much of your time was devoted to today and this week and that sort of thing. But when you're thinking about, and there's probably more an off-season thing, the bigger picture direction of the program, whether it's how to navigate NIL or the portal or replacements for your coaches, what's your process for making those decisions?
All of them?
Maybe let's pick out the NIL, I guess. How do you come to a decision, here's how we want to do this?
Just organizational conglomeration of information. I mean, there's I can't answer that question. Just I'm very process detail oriented. We have a way we go about things. We talk about it. We visit with others. We brainstorm. We do what any good business would do, and we try to make the best decision. But I mean, when it comes to NIL, it's what can we raise? What do we have? What do we have available? What's the best value, and what kids fit our culture, and who's going to be unselfish and come here and play for University of Georgia and not just for the money. There's a lot of things that go into that decision, and those other decisions you talked about, there's a ton, especially in the off season.
Coach, now that you've had time to watch the tape, what were your thoughts on how Jared Wilson fared?
I knock on wood, I don't think we had an errant snap, and that was something that was really important. We chart his snaps every day, and he's been about 95, 96% snap accuracy, and that's something that you can't afford to have. It's got to be 100, and I thought he did a good job of doing that in the game. I think if you ask Jared, there's some things that he should have done better, he could have done better, and he didn't play his best football game. But like I tell kids all the time, if you miss time in training camp, it tends to show in the first game. And he missed some time. He did some really good things, some really athletic things, and then he had a couple plays that he didn't make. And I think he was the first guy that came up to me walking off the field and said he screwed up a couple plays. But that's football.
Yeah, what does it say about London Humphreys' abilities to come in and make those big third down catches after just transferring into the program this offseason and even coming in for relief for Dylan Bell on Saturday? Yeah,
it's great. He does a good job. He's probably more in relief for Arian, and he did a good job. He's got SEC experience. I think that's what the portal provides you, to go get a guy that's been successful and played well in our conference. And he's done that. He's proven himself as a guy that can make plays, and he was ready when his number was called. And we talk about it all the time, is your opportunity's coming. Are you going to seize the moment when the moment jumps in front of you? And he did that.
Kirby, after reviewing film, what were your impressions of Malaki when he played the star, and what kind of flexibility does that give you in personnel when he's able to play there?
He did a nice job when he played the star, especially for a guy that didn't rep there but last week a few times. I mean, he didn't get any reps in camp there, so he did a good job jumping in and filling that role. Flexibility, it just depends on the depth at other positions. I mean, Malaki can be our best player at 5 positions, so it's more a matter of what's around him and what's healthy, working, and what are we going to do defensively? Like he plays a role at safety, he plays a role at strong safety, he plays a role at star. So he does a tremendous job. It gives us some depth, but I'd rather not have to be relying on the depth and rely on the guys that practiced all camp.
Coach, you said after the game, as far as Jalon goes, that coaches have had to get, I guess, uncomfortable in using him on the field. I just wonder, how many guys have you been around in your career who can go inside out like that with the ability that Jalon has? And what is it about that skill set that makes him able to do that successfully?
Well, we're unique in our defense. Or I shouldn't say unique. I don't know how many others do what we do defensively, because I'm not in their programs. So we're very different in regards to what NFL scouts and personnel tell us, that we still train, outside backers to be Sam outside linebackers, and learned a long time ago that you need to develop 2 skill sets, because the game has changed and evolved to be more spread oriented. So these guys that played outside linebacker against a 2-back eye set, they weren't finding homes. They might have a home in the NFL, but they didn't have a home in college. And we make promises that we're going to develop you in multiple ways. I mean, going back to Natrez Patrick, he could play into the linebacker, and he could also play inside backer, and he was used to rush and do things here. Lorenzo was that way. Quay Walker started as an outside backer and inside backer, and had flexibility. So we think it's part of your growth. We say all the time, you're going to get 98% of your football reps in practice, so why not experiment and grow? And that 2% you get to play in the game, you get to show off all these things you learned. And then when the next level comes calling, they've seen you do multiple things. And it's really important to them that you can still play into the linebacker, because their style of football still has some traditional nature to it, as opposed to college is very different now. So I'm very proud of Jalon, because he's had to really grow and get uncomfortable at inside backer. He's more natural at his outside backer position.
Kirby, what were your impressions of KJ in his first game?
KJ's very confident. He's played more football than most seniors. He's been playing since he was 6 years old in the heart of Atlanta, in one of the toughest leagues there is to play football. And he's played up against older kids all his life. He's extremely athletic. The moment's not too big for KJ. He's very gifted athletically, but he also has great football instincts and intuition. He's been coached by his father, and he's tough. And so I think that gives him a leg up on other guys coming in, because he's just been playing football so long.
Yeah, having a chance to review the tape, what'd you see out of Damon Wilson in his first game against Clemson?
Effort, like I did last year. There's things he's got to improve on and do better. He missed a couple opportunities to make a couple plays that I thought he should have made. But he's, I don't judge Damon on that body of work of those snaps. I judge Damon on the body of work of the 1,000 snaps he's had in camp. And he's had a really good camp. He's improved himself physically. He can play more downs now. He's got to continue to get stronger and maintain his weight. But just the few snaps our guys didn't play many snaps. I think we had 56 or 57 snaps. So, we didn't have, I think we had 18 guys that played over 28 snaps on the whole team. So there weren't a large number of snaps played by anybody. So that body of work is not real big.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned the snap count. That Clemson offense, I believe, led the nation last year in plays per game at 77. What was the key to limiting their amount of touches in the football, and were you surprised they huddled as much as they did?
I really don't know what their decisions are for their offense. It's when you stop people on third down and you're hard to run the ball on, you're not going to have a lot of snaps. And we were fortunate to get off the field on some third downs. They were also unfortunate. They had a couple drops early that would have gotten them rolling. So it is what it is. As far as the snap count numbers, I think people with the headsets, you may end up with less plays than normal because of people wanting to wait and talk.
Coach, you mentioned Arian's improvement, and he talks about in fall camp just becoming more consistent. I know it's only one game, but how have you seen him prioritize that?
Oh, Arian works. There's no harder worker on our team than Arian Smith. I mean, he's a product of a really tough physical program, and he'll tell you today he stands in front of the team and he is just a completely different person. He had never had to practice and strain like he does here, and he has made decisions that he wants to be really good, and so he works really hard at it. I mean, there's not a play that I can find where Arian doesn't run hard to the ball or try to block somebody and do something extra, and it's that way on special teams. He made a huge special teams play in the game and continues to improve by doing those things.
Kirby, what kind of jump have you seen from Lawson in his second year in the program?
More confident in the system, healthy, tougher and more physical, but needs to improve on that, and just a passion for the game. He's really, really football savvy. He understands football and leverages, and has made a lot of plays, in the passing game, and continues to play more physical.
Coach, just want to ask about Micah Morris. Didn't seem to get a whole bunch of snaps the other day, and also I know the last couple of snaps of the game you're able to get your redshirt freshman all in there for the first time. How big is that for kids like that to get a chance?
Hopefully, the work they get every day in practice. I know for you guys, everything is about that small snapshot you see of the game. But for me, it's what are you going to do today? What are you going to do tomorrow? Because you're going to get 40 or 50 snaps against a really good football player today and tomorrow. And we really try to impress upon our guys. There's so much value in our practice that it's held in higher esteem a lot of times by NFL organizations than the game is. And it's not understood by the common fan that practice is more important than the game, but it certainly is here. didn't. I mean, Micah's got to continue to improve. I mean, it's one of those deals that we're going to play the guys that practice the best, and if he practices better, he'll get to play more.
Kirby, can you comment on Anthony Evans? And I'd agree about practice, so I'm hoping maybe we'll get some availability practice this week.
Keep hoping. What?
About Anthony Evans on the punt returns and the importance that he had with field
I thought he
position.
did a great job of fielding the ball. The ball hits the ground and it bounces. And I watch all these games in college games where the ball bounces in 20 and 30 yards field position is getting flipped. You know, it takes a lot of confidence to go and judge the ball, especially in that dome. And there were some strange punts. There were some balls doing some crazy spin. It was a left-footed punter. So, you know, one of the wins of the game for us was not letting the ball hit the ground and bounce. He did once, and it went in the end zone, which was a judgment call by him. So I was very pleased with what he was able to do in terms of punt return.
Two questions for you, Kirby. One, after your Mike Bobo was done after the game, being able to talk to Carson, what was the review of the whole headset thing? Did he like it? Could Carson hear? And the other one is from week 1 to week 2, what do you want to see as the biggest improvement among your football team?
I can't pick one thing on improvement. I mean, there's so many things that we got to do better. I mean, all of it. I mean, there's just a lot there that we want to improve on, and you know, some of what you're doing is dictated by who you play. And people just think it's a stat game. It's not a stat game. It's who you're lining up across from, and how good is that football player, because that does dictate things, the matchups. In terms of Carson and Mike, I mean, we've done it every day for 32 practices. So it wasn't any different than the 32 practices that we did it. It shuts off at 15. You talk before it. It wasn't any different than our scrimmages. It was exactly like we practice, and we've had probably 60 walkthroughs. So between the walkthroughs and the games, we've got some form of communication. Walkthroughs, it can't be a helmet, so it's a earpiece, but he's heard it all.
Coach, just from your perspective and your philosophy over the time here, going from game to game, where have you seen the growth among your players in that focus and mentality when you're going from opponent to opponent, no matter where they play or who they are?
Yeah, I don't know that I have this year because we haven't done it. You know, it's like every team's different in terms of, and over time they change. Like I can't compare 2018 to 2020 to 2022. I mean, because the teams are different, the maturity level, the experience level. It does seem that every year we get younger. So every year it's a greater burden and challenge on the older players to set the standard and hold people to how we go about our preparation and putting a game behind us and moving on to the next one. But it's the same for the coaches, and we don't change how we go week to week. We have a protocol, we have a checklist, and we follow that.
Have time for one more question if anyone has one. All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks.